On this episode of Polly This Week, we recap Judge Brett Kavanaugh and Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Here in San Luis Obispo, a solidarity event took place as a reaction to the Kavanaugh allegations of sexual assault. We sit down with a local leader of the movement to discuss the hearing and sexual assault here in San Luis Obispo. Welcome to another edition of Polly This Week. Women's March SLO organized a solidarity event for victims of sexual assault as a response to the recent #WhyIDidn'tReport movement. This all started after President Donald Trump questioned in a tweet why Dr. Christine Blasey Ford hadn't reported the Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh for sexual assault sooner than she did. Ford and Kavanaugh both testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee in a 9-hour hearing on September 27th. The Senate vote to confirm Kavanaugh has been delayed for a week so that the FBI can conduct a supplemental investigation on Kavanaugh. Here's a recap in state politics. The University of California announced a new move to boost faculty diversity this week. Officials say they will be setting aside more than $7 million annually on programs and incentives to increase faculty diversity. Earlier this year, the 10-campus system came under fire for having mostly white teaching staffs, while new numbers showed that 2/3 of California college students are minorities. Lawmakers today are applauding the move by UC, saying it could work to improve student achievement. The state legislature for the past 3 years allocated $2 million for the UC system in an attempt to increase faculty diversity. Lawmakers say they will be holding hearings next legislative session to further address the issue. The California Air Resources Board is moving forward with an aggressive clean air agenda despite threats that the Trump administration may override state environmental standards. This week, the ARB will consider raising tax credits for Californians who purchase emission-free cars. Officials are also expected to vote on a policy that will require California public transit access to gradually switch to clean air buses. When we come back, I'll be joined by one of the organizers of the Women's March event to discuss her opinion of these recent events and what we can expect from the Women's March SLO in the future.
Hi, I'm Brian Trong, and I'm one of the co-anchors for Mustang Game Day. Game Day is a pretty intensive program, I think, for us. There's a lot of stuff going on from the beginning to the execution of the show, but we're really excited to cover this season. Hopefully, they're going to be able to make some big things happen here. Cal Poly being a STEM school, sports may not be the biggest thing here, but here at Mustang Game Day, we love covering all of the Cal Poly sports. So you come out and watch Game Day, you'll see lots of interesting stories about all the sports here at Cal Poly.
I surrender.
All right, pal. Get ready for the day, buddy.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun? There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out.
Good night. And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Polly This Week. I'm here with Dawn Addis, one of the organizers of the Women's March SLO event to stand in solidarity with victims of sexual assault. Thank you so much for being here, Dawn.
Thanks for having me, Kayla.
So what prompted Women's March SLO to hold this event?
A lot of people had been asking us if we were going to do something around the Kavanaugh hearings, and what we landed on was Why I Didn't Report, because we wanted to make a safe space for women, for victims of sexual assault, for survivors, for allies, and for men to come out and express what had happened to them. And once the hashtag started, we posted on our Facebook that people were welcome to send us their stories or post their stories, and we had a cascade of stories, and they're still coming in, of people sharing their own experiences.
Right, and what was the reaction in the SLO community before the event and during and after the event?
There was, I would say, by and large, positive reaction, and the folks that came out found it to be extremely healing to be in a space that they could share their story if they wanted to. We made it specifically an all-ages event so that we didn't have speakers and we didn't march. Really, the focus of that particular event was to create a safe place, and so those folks that did come out found it to be very healing and to find solidarity with other people who understand what it's like to be a survivor or are allies of survivors.
And what was your personal opinion of the hearing yesterday and about the delay in his vote?
So I found Dr. Blasey Ford to be extremely courageous. I was very appreciative of the senators who made sure to say to her that she wasn't on trial. We have to remember that this is a job interview. This isn't a trial. This isn't a criminal case. Dr. Blasey Ford is not at fault in this situation. So I'm very glad that there's going to be some investigation because these are serious allegations. And we have to remember as an American public that this really is a job interview to have a lifetime appointment, a job that you never get fired from. It's extremely important that we know about the decision-making of the person that the American public is giving this job to.
Right. And there are several allegations of people who are on the other side of the argument who say that these are false allegations, or several opinions of people that say they're false allegations or they're politically motivated. What is your response to that?
I think that's a really common allegation when somebody comes forward who has been victimized, who's a survivor, and who decides to tell their story. We have a history of undermining the stories of survivors in America. We have it happens all the time. I'm not surprised by it. I think it's unfortunate that this is the tone that it's taken. We know that people on all sides of the aisle commit sexual assault and sexual abuse. This isn't the time to politicize it, and it's highly unfortunate that anybody's taking the tone that this is a political occurrence. What's important here is that we center on Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, who's found her voice and who's decided to come forward and tell the truth. We really should be treating her as a victim and as a survivor and not politicizing this situation. And so I would hope that folks on all sides of the aisle would really focus on what happened here, which is that it's looking like somebody who has committed a sexual assault, and we need to take that seriously. Regardless of how we got here, we need to take these allegations seriously.
There have been several students who have come out and reported sexual assault on campus. What do you know about that, and what is your take on that?
I know that Cal Poly has faced significant issues around sexual assault, and I know that there have been many women that have come forward on the Cal Poly campus that haven't been listened to and haven't had their allegations followed up with appropriately, who have brought that forward and been extremely courageous in doing so. I would encourage Cal Poly students to keep that conversation alive, to keep pressing forward. Don't stay quiet, and I know that it's hard. I know that you have to have so much courage and so much resilience to be able to continue through these conversations, to be able to continue to say that this isn't right and Cal Poly has to do something. And I would urge students to keep coming forward with that information.
And how can Cal Poly students get involved if they want to report their stories or if they just want to help out with Women's March SLO? What can they do?
Our website is womensmarchslo.com. We're also at Women's March SLO on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. And you can email us through womensmarchslo@gmail.com. If you're a student in need, if you have been assaulted, if you know somebody who's been assaulted and you just need to talk with someone, you're welcome to email us, and we can connect you with local organizations such as RISE or Stand Strong, who have resources. And if you just want to get involved in Women's March, you can go to our website and sign up for our emails. We would love to have you, especially as we start planning for January. The more hands on deck we have, the more enjoyable and the better the event becomes.
What do you think is the most important thing that people can do?
register to vote and make sure that you get to the polls. So if you're a Cal Poly student who's registered to vote in your hometown, you can vote by mail, and actually you can check your voter registration by going on womensmarchslo.com, and we have a voter registration button there, so check where you're registered, make sure you get your mail-in ballot, and if you're not registered, go register right now online. You can go to womensmarchslo.com, click register to vote, and get registered right here, and you can be able to vote again in the city elections as well as the midterm elections. So a lot's at stake, and it's important that every person who's eligible to vote gets out and votes.
Thank you so much for joining us on Poly This Week. Be sure to check out mustangnews.net for more coverage. I'm Kayla Berenson. Have a great day.